from a real estate perspective, you know you're supposed to disclose, but that does not happen.
All the time.
No,
We are live.
probably more often than not, it does not happen.
Right.
All right, well, I'm going by my Verizon.
Yeah, well, we got another minute or so. I just.
Verizon says it's 6 o'clock. All right, welcome to the August 24th, 23 Planning Commission meeting for the City of Travelers Rest. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Thank you for attending. The first item on the agenda is a roll call with the members, so I'll start at my right.
Tony Rackley, Evan Cantrell.
Michelle Garrison,
Rebecca Cooper.
Diane Maxwell.
Brian Havey.
Thank you. Our first order of business is to approve our minutes from our last meeting, and you will have an amended copy of the meetings in front of you there. Thank you, Diane, for catching the amendment. So at this time, do I hear a motion to approve these minutes as presented as amended?
Make a motion to approve.
Tony, do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you. Hearing no more discussion, or is there any discussion? If not, I would like to call for a vote. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand and saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. This motion was carried unanimously. Thank you. We have the 5-year comprehensive plan review before us. We are looking at the transportation and economic development elements. So, Mike, we will turn it over to you for some input.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we are, as you mentioned, we are moving forward with the next couple chapters of the comp plan review that we've been working on here for the last few months. Today's 2 chapters we'll be looking at are the transportation and the economic development chapters, elements. So obviously two big things here in the city, so we'll get right into it. So as far as what we had been discussing in the past and what we're going to do here as well, we look at, in 2018 was when the comp plan was initially adopted. Each chapter got various recommendations that were made based on some challenges that were addressed from the comp plan. What we're doing here is just going through and looking at each of those recommendations that were made and whether or not there's been any progress made, and if so, what progress has been made in the last 5 years. So as you see, there's quite a few for transportation, so we'll jump in. The first one is encouraging smart development that controls road access and reduces traffic congestion. This one's a big issue that's going on. You know, that is what you see, some current things that are going on. The downtown overlay district addresses some of those things, and the city is based on a lot of the smart growth principles, you know, multimodal access, making sure that cars don't dominate the discussion for a lot of these things. So a lot of what you see in the downtown overlay is addressing some of those concerns. Next up is continuing to implement road repaving program. Our city public works, Philip Tate, Director Tate, implements a yearly repaving program based on the utilized budget that the city council approves. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but those would only, city public works would only obviously handle city road repaving. SCDOT has their own program for certain roads that are in the state, or I'm sorry, in the city, state roads that are in the city. And then we have some other means to address road repaving as well, but you'll see the vast majority of the roads we have here in the city fall within our budget. The next is utilize transportation control measures to reduce congestion during peak hour demand. The TR Police Department has been stepping this up as of late, utilizing speed control measures along certain corridors, specifically along Main Street. They've noticed quite an uptick, and I don't know if any of y'all were here for the last court session this last week, but there was quite a few people here, so it sounds like that unfortunately, there's a lot of people speeding in the city, but fortunately, we are our police department is on top of it and is taking measures accordingly. Next is providing enforcement of current, I'm sorry, I think I hit that one already. Next is review all new and redevelopment plans to encourage access management. That's in progress. Each new development and redevelopment project's access management plan is reviewed during the planning process to ensure that access management is encouraged for each project. And also, not only individually for the project, but how it sort of it fits into the grander scheme of access or of the city transportation network. Next up is working with the SCDOT to identify intersections that require improvements in signals, et cetera. We have a few intersections that we're working with SCDOT on. Most notably is going to be our Center Street diagonal. We're under the same timeline for that one. That'll go along with that'll be let at the same time that our North Poinsett corridor goes out for bid. We're still working with the DOT to secure some access rights from some property owners along that North Poinsett corridor. So the one project is tied to the other one to an extent, but it is moving forward. We do plan to have somebody on board here by the end of the year to get that project started. So we're excited about that. Next, require all new subdivisions to have sidewalks and connect to existing sidewalks and trails. And this is a big one. The city approved subdivision regulations back in 2018 that require sidewalks and mixed trail connections wherever they're near one, and then sidewalks for all new developments. So you'll see basically all new developments since 2018 in the city have sidewalks on both sides of the street. And we are building out our mixed-use trailway connections to accommodate that traffic as well. Next up is install pedestrian crossing signs and crosswalks. This one is in progress, and we've installed multiple crossings along multiple streets citywide, with plans for additional crossings along South Main Street and North Poinsett Highway. A couple big ones, the North Poinsett Highway you know about already. That's essentially, we'll be beefing up the crossing to get to Chicora. We'll be putting in what's called a hawk crossing, so you have to push a button and it'll stop traffic each way so that you have a lighted crossing for pedestrians. We'll be doing the same thing on South Main Street here by the new Pinestone connection as well, so that way there'll be a safe connection point where traffic will stop in both directions, or auto traffic will stop in both directions to allow safe crossings across Main Street. Next one is implement priority projects as outlined by the bicycle master plan. And I can tell you that bike master plan has been integral for a lot of the projects that we've been working on. The plan was completed in 2015. We haven't been able to get to everything, but a lot of the projects that were outlined in that program have been hit to this point. So I think we're doing a good job with the city's doing a good job planning for and then building what we planned for. The next thing is implement development standards that require sidewalks, streetscape amenities, bike racks, etc. I talked a little bit about that before. We now require sidewalks and streetscape amenities and certain things for all development. In the downtown overlay district, really beef those up a little bit more. So you'll start to see as downtown continues to develop and redevelop that a lot of these streetscape amenities will be put in place that would really looking for a human scale rather than an auto scale on Main Street and Poinsett Highway as well, Poinsett Street, excuse me. The next one is to implement the diagonal crosswalk. I mentioned that. We anticipate groundwork to commence here in the fall. Next is implement recommendations of the Poinsett Highway and Center Street corridor study, including altering traffic flow on Center Street signal at Tubbs Mountain and North Poinsett intersection and the intersection at Hawkins Road and 25. And again, that's all part of the North Poinsett Highway update. Center Street has recently been, it was an SCDOT road until very recently. It was signed over to the city, so the city now maintains that road. We anticipate having that paved here over the next, during this fiscal year.
Is that only the Center Street section?
That will only
Does
be,
not
for
carry
now,
over to McElhaney?
correct, just
Okay.
Center Street all the way
Yeah.
from Maine over to.
So
the
south and north
Poinsett.
Poinsett, still SCDOT.
Correct.
Has anyone ever considered putting a crosswalk in from the city lot over where the B Company house is? Do you know what I'm talking about? On Center Street?
On Center Street,
People
no,
cross.
but there will
Gateway
need to be a
entrance,
crossing
gateway
of some
parking.
sort.
No, the city lot, not Gateway Park, but the city lot on Center
That's
Street.
right
Yeah,
across
the
from
parking
Brantley's.
lot.
Where the
They
library
never
is.
go to the
Sorry.
light, they just cross, they
Right.
just jaywalk. So I was wondering if anyone had considered putting in a crosswalk there.
Is a public parking area.
Yes, yeah, that has been considered. I don't know, I don't think that's part of the repaving program here, but we can definitely, we can take an additional look at that, because I do agree that that would be needed there, because you have folks,
They don't, they
Maybe
do
right
not go to
there
the.
at the entrance to
Yeah.
that parking lot, to
Yeah.
be able to cross right
Correct,
there, might be
yeah.
a safer
In front of
alternative.
Brantley's
yeah,
house.
we,
Right in front of Brantley's
Right in front of
house.
Brantley's house.
yeah, yeah.
Well, it's actually
It
in front of
is.
the B Company.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So we typically don't, we don't encourage mid-block crossings unless they're safer, like a Hawk crossing where it's lighted. But we can definitely take a look. If people are going to do it anyways, we
They're
don't want to
doing it
encourage it, but
anyway.
at the same time, we want them to be safe, so, yeah,
No,
it's-
it's just
we can-
something worth noting.
Yep, thank you.
But they can walk up to the corner and walk across there at Sunrift.
But they don't.
But they
They
don't.
do not.
No,
They do
and they
not.
never will.
Right, yeah, they're going to take the path of least resistance and the
Right.
shortest path, yeah. Develop partnerships with Greenville County, SCDOT, and ARC. We've talked about this already. Just we're constantly overturning every rock we can to try to find grant funding for different projects, and we work with the DOT closely on that. Consider development agreements to help implement infrastructure improvements with private developments, and we're in constant contact with private development to see where we can, either we can chip in for infrastructure improvements or to help, in any way we can to make sure that whatever new developments do come into the city, that they fit in, that they're able to accommodate the city as best they can. So one new map that we made that I'm excited about, and it's not coming in clear, so I'm going to try to pull it up on my a different way just to give you an idea of what we're doing here. So if you think about my wife says I can't do two things at once, so I'm going to pull this up here first. So this one may be a little bit clearer to see. So if you think about a road network, how you always think about road networks as arterials, collectors, and then the local road networks. So I've done the same thing, but with the bike and ped side of it as well. So I think it's important to kind of get to think about our sidewalk network and our multi-use path network in this way. So if you think about it like a highway system, we have our Swamp Rabbit Trail, so that's the green line obviously going through the middle of the city. So that's our highest trafficked roadway when it comes to bikes and pedestrians. Smaller than that is the sort of the connector roads, which would be our existing shared use and our proposed shared use paths. So as you see, we have a couple that are coming in. Most of those are going to be the new ones, or the ones that are existing now are around Row Road and Pinestone. So those are going to be your 10-foot wide paths that can accommodate multiple bikes in either direction, essentially. And then we also have the future YMCA.
Is that a 10-foot path?
That will be. It'll be built to the same specs as the Swamp Rabbit.
Perfect.
So we're excited about that, and you see that dashed blue line on the left side of the screen there. And that will connect us to the YMCA, and with hopes eventually to get that down to the river, all the way down to the Saluda at some point. That's out of our purview, but that's something that the county, I think, has expressed interest in. So if we can get them to the Y, then at least that gets them one step closer. So, and that would probably turn into a regional network green line at some point if we decided to go that route. City network, I mentioned, those are going to be the future sort of mixed-use paths, and then, or shared-use path, excuse me. And then the neighborhood networks, you see, that's our existing sidewalk networks. Those are going to be your obviously your smaller roads that just have either a single or a double sidewalk on them. we've got a couple of proposed new sidewalks coming in. You can see some of the smaller subdivisions, like the Refuge that's being built, or it's on its way. Spring Park Inn, White Hawk Meadows is sort of that figure 8 on the left side of the city. So those will all have new sidewalks. But I think it's interesting to see that, or to look at it in this way, so that way we can see where are gaps, right? Where are the areas that we need to have some future connection consideration. And basically everything in the north, the older neighborhoods don't have that sidewalk, so it'd be tough to kind of retrofit them with sidewalks. But I think it's interesting just to kind of look at it this way, that we would typically look at a road network in this way, but we are looking at it more in a biking and pedestrian way. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. That will be included in the update for this comp plan. We also did one for Furman. They are part of the city, but they sort of do their own thing when it comes to their bike and pedestrian network. So we basically we separate them out, not only for space reasons, but just to show you as well that they also have Swamp Rabbit and they have some
When
bike
you say
and ped.
Furman is within the city limits, when I'm looking at this as the Furman parcel, is that land that they actually own? Those parameters, or is that just a general?
That is, yes, that
They
most
own
most of it, yeah.
They own contiguous property
That's what I
to the
meant.
Yeah,
city, yes.
virtually all of that is
They do.
Furman-owned land,
Wow.
yeah. Yep.
So the history there, to make it contiguous, the property owner at Foothills Road that sits up on the hill annexed about 15 feet of his property into the city to give them contiguous, to give them that connectivity required by South Carolina annexation laws.
Right, that's right. Yep, that was that little jog, yeah, that got us there.
Be
So
nice
anyway,
to get it all of his property in, to get that property tax, but,
Right.
he did do 15, so 15
At
feet.
least got us there, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, if there's no more questions with transportation, we'll move on to economic development.
I do have one real quick question. As far as looking at traffic on 276, I understand that's state-owned or, I know some of the traffic mitigation policies that have been used, for example, on North Main in Greenville, was to put in a median to slow traffic a little bit and beautify it. Is that even an option to look at in the downtown area?
It could be, yeah. I know that the city in the past has had conversations with the DOT about Main Street. In a perfect world, in my perfect world, we would do a road diet and go down to 2 lanes.
Right.
But because I think the DOT's hold up, and there might be other issues, but the one I've heard is that truck traffic still needs to utilize that road to an extent. So to bring it down to 2, it changes the dynamic a little bit. I would love to have a true Main Street where there are no trucks like Greenville, but I don't think that's possible because there's no alternate route to get truck traffic that way. They have to have a certain distance requirement. To be able to do a road diet and to be able to restrict certain traffic, they have to have alternate routes within a certain distance, and I don't think we have that.
25 wouldn't be one.
It would, but it takes you
It
there's-
takes you away instead of
Correct.
closer. So, some history again. When we approached DOT about the revitalization of Main Street 15 years ago or more, and there was a lot of support from council to be able to do 2 lanes all the way. And we got what we got with pushing as hard as we could. And so in addition to that tractor trailer traffic, then we have a hospital that sits just north of us. So then you have the emergency component as well. So, I don't know that we'll ever get any more from DOT on
I think 2
that,
lanes
because
would
we
kill
are a
that
state
too, that
highway.
Emergency access, the 2 lanes would shoot that.
Well, even just like I said, the median itself, it gives a psychological sense of
So.
greater restriction, even if it's
so I
not
think-
technically.
I think where we could look is when that was done, and we did the road diet that we did, most of the improvement was on the Swamp Rabbit Trail side of the street. If we could do some additional improvements on the other side of the street with plantings and that type, psychologically, I think it would have some impact on the traffic flow. So that might be something that we look at. I've kind of always felt like we shafted the other side of the street with everything that we did, but that's, going forward. And, we looked at everything in the world to do, but with the budget we had at that time,
Right.
we did what we did. But I think if we could do some similar things on the other side of the street, we could do some traffic modification improvements that would help psychologically. So,
Yeah, and that's right. So as downtown, or as Main Street continues to develop and it gets closer to the road, it will psychologically slow people down in that respect. And that, the Hawk Crossing that I mentioned earlier, it's gonna have a stub out to actually like really kind of restrict speed in that area. So you sort of have to pay attention a little bit more, so you're gonna have to slow down.
Okay.
And that coupled with the police presence,
if we could
At least
do
in the short
something between the True Broth and Tandem,
that's, yeah.
that in there, but there's so many turn-ins in that, kind of limited, but we could come up with some creative thing to do something visual there. I think it would be helpful.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to economic development. So the first item was work closely with the Travelers Rest Area Chamber of Commerce to support existing businesses and create new ones that are compatible for Travelers Rest. We have something similar to what's recommended here, in that we meet monthly with the Downtown Merchant Association to support existing and prospective businesses in the city. It's been, Beth is spearheading that, and it's been, we're starting to see, I think we're starting to see some fruits from that labor.
They have also been that group, some of that group has also been attending chamber meetings
Good.
as well.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think some good things are coming out of that, so I definitely think there's progress being made there. And then the next one is develop, along the chamber lines, develop a chamber subcommittee for downtown businesses. And again, I think that for the marketing and redevelopment opportunities, that what we're doing with the Downtown Merchants Association can help stimulate some of those discussions and opportunities. Next is provide the necessary infrastructure to commercial and industrial sites. This is, again, in progress. As you all know, the sewer system operations were turned over to Metro Connect over the last year, so that will help with the coordination for new customers, and will also help with capacity. They're much better. Metro is much better equipped to handle a sewer system and grow that sewer system in a efficient and economical manner than we were. So we think it's a good idea that Metro took over on that. As far as water and gas, we're constantly in contact with Greenville Water and the gas providers as well, to make sure that all necessary infrastructure is in place. Greenville Water, is obviously always been a good partner with the city, and they work with us whenever they can. Next is advertise the city through the use of newsletters, brochures, and social media. Again, that's Beth. She's really hit the ground running on that, and she's got a fully fleshed out advertising program. She's been running the newsletters, the brochures, the social medias, the pamphlets. We even have a new app for the phone. I don't know if you all have a chance to download that and use that, but that's been a big success as well. And if you haven't, it's Travelers Rest Connect. It's either Connect Travelers Rest or Travelers Rest Connect. She's going to kill me because I don't remember what it is exactly. Next up, create and maintain an inventory of available commercial and industrial sites. That's in progress as well. That list is hard to nail down because it's always going to be constantly changing. But between myself and Eric and Philip, we have a pretty good knowledge of the available commercial and industrial sites, and they're going to come to our office first anyways. So we feel like we have a pretty good way to help them find the right site for whatever business opportunity is out there. And along those lines, create the development director, city staff position. That has not been done, but really Eric has been handling a lot of the development director duties amongst his 75,000 other things that he has to work on as the city administrator. But he does a great job with that, being able to just to really get the word out for these different sites and champion the city when it
And
comes
it's a
to
budget
economic
issue
development.
also.
Sir?
That's a budget issue also.
It is a budget issue as well. As a small city, there's only,
Right.
there's Eric, myself, Philip, Beth, Carson, our new clerk slash treasurer, and then Beth and Renee.
A lot of slashes.
Yeah, so everyone wears a lot of slashes,
Right.
and, that's just how it is. It's a small town, but I think we with the team we have, we do a good job without having to spend the additional dollars to hire somebody specifically for that position. Next is promote State Park Road as a mixed-use district. I think there's been good progress on that. Pinestone is really starting to come together. And you'll start to see that a little bit more. Once they get that parking lot done, they'll be able to fully redevelop the warehouses that are on State Park. So that is, their intent is to make that a mixed-use development with a mixture of retail, office space, and restaurants. So that'll be exciting when that starts moving forward or continues to move forward. So State Park Road, you'll start to see some really cool stuff here happening pretty soon.
So a question in that is, in extending the downtown overlay district, how far out will that go on the Poinsett corridor?
It goes all the way out to Mustang on Poinsett.
Okay, so so my question came up when I saw the new murals for Main Street and in that facade program. Does that carry that far?
Yes, the facade, the murals are all on Main Street, yes, so they
I know,
would.
but could that facade
the-
program carry out through the entire district?
It does, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, I didn't understand
Yeah.
what you meant.
So I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's great, but I'd like to see some of that develop a little further out to
Sure.
make it a more cohesive environment, so.
Agreed, yeah, it does, it stretches out, so, the facade improvement, program, lays out the different roads that are applicable to that program, and I think they all go hand in hand with the downtown
Okay.
district, so.
Thank you.
Next one is promote more entertainment businesses that cater to children and teenagers. The biggest thing I could say on that one is that we've just recently released, or we released an RFP for a skate, and I think I wrote this beforehand, I didn't get a chance to follow up and finish it, but we released an RFP for a skate park right across the street here, on the other side of Old Buncombe. And we're working, hey, no problem, we're working and negotiating with the winner of the RFP right now to get them under contract to start the planning phase for that skate park. But it's going to be neat. It's going to be really, we think, a regional draw for skate parks.
I think you hit a home run. The city hit a home run with that playground back there.
Yes, yes.
It's packed all the time.
Absolutely, it is. So the playground has been a huge success, and
It's cool too. It's
There-
really
is
cool looking.
there,
It is.
Is there any opportunity for community involvement in the planning of that skate park, or an individual who might be interested?
Absolutely will be. So there will be. So there's going to be. We're obviously very early in the process, but
Right.
yes, the planning phase we anticipate over the next 6 months or so, and it'll be, we're going to have multiple public meetings, and we're going to make
Thank
sure
you.
that we get
Awesome.
the input from the community.
My son is
How much
elated.
how much property does the city own where the skate park will?
It basically
I know
goes
where
just
it
past the
starts.
spur,
Okay.
the spur to the Swamp Rabbit right here, and it goes all the way down to the historic society's building, to the parking lot.
But it's true.
It is. There's not a whole heck of a lot you can do with it because you got the SCDOT on one side.
Right.
So this, I think, is a perfect use for it because it's got the Swamp Rabbit runs
We're getting
directly
ready to
through
say
it.
right on it.
Yeah, so we'll be able to integrate that traffic. I mean, from some of the stuff that we got from the RFP results, I think people are going to be excited when
Putting
they
in
see what's
parking.
going on. Yeah.
Here.
Yep,
Oh,
and
one
it'll all
ha-
tie in with Trailblazer.
One happy son.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
that's cool. It's very cool news that we're
Awesome.
going to be talking about here pretty soon, next couple months. So next one is encourage small local businesses. And again, I think that ties back well with our Downtown Merchant Association. We have a lot of the small business owners that come in to discuss different things that they're seeing in the city and how the city can help them grow. One of those things is our facade improvement program, which you mentioned, Rebecca. That it's a good program. We've gotten, I think we've given out about I want to say $31,000 to this point to various businesses. So basically, the program is a reimbursement program. You come to the city just if you're in, if you're on one of the streets we discussed, one of the downtown streets. You come to the city with your, how you plan to improve the facade or the streetscape for your property. We do a quick review. It's just Eric and myself. We do a review, make sure that it meets all of our codes and whatnot, and then you go ahead and do the work, and we can reimburse you up to $10,000 for that work. So and murals are one of those reimbursements because we think that's a good way to kind of spruce up the city and make it more eye-friendly or eye-catching. So it's a neat program. We just started it last year. We're excited to have it. So and we definitely encourage the small businesses or any business here in the city to take advantage of it. The next one is promote Travelers Rest as a bed and breakfast community. And the city's constantly working to market the community as a place to visit. We're finding that more and more people want to make it the place to stay and live, and we love that too, but we really want them to just come visit, spend those dollars when they're visiting. So we definitely, we have some good programs in place, and again, Beth's spearheading a lot of that stuff to make sure that our marketing efforts are as strong as they can be.
Is there an existing list within the city limits of approved Airbnb short-term rentals, and is that available?
Yeah, we do. We have each one that is each Airbnb has to go through an approval process. So we definitely have a list that we can make available. Sure. The next one is establish a central business district overlay with development standards, and we've done that one. That's the downtown overlay district. So that was laid out back in 2018, and we got that approved last year to do a lot of the things that we've been talking about here, beefing up our development standards and whatnot. The next one is encourage merchants to extend their hours of operation. This one's in progress. So we work with the businesses as best we can to encourage reasonable hours of operation. And one of the cool things about the data counter, the counter that you see out on Row Road and Main Street that counts all of our bike traffic and pedestrian traffic, is that we can break it down into 15-minute increments, or as small as 15-minute increments. So I can tell you that, making up a date here, but at 2:15 p.m. on Saturday, July 17th, we had 345 people pass the counter. So that's probably more information than most people need, but merchants might be able to take some of that data and figure out when to staff their restaurants accordingly if they know that there's additional traffic coming through at certain times. So there's a lot of different things you can do with the data. One of those being the hours of operation back to this recommendation. So that question has come up as far as hours of operation are concerned, sort of later into the night, and we obviously don't want it. We don't want to encourage late night activities to an extent. So we want to make sure, and I think, and the restaurants are all in the city are all very good about closing it at certain times, and they get their business done within reasonable hours. So we are a bed and breakfast community, but a bed is a lot of that. So. Next up is use grants and other funding to continue physical improvements to downtown. And again, this speaks perfectly with our facade improvement program. And actually that says 20, but it's been upgraded to we recently had one, so it'd be 30,000 now in grant funding to this point. We also have the Poinsett Street Corridor Improvement Project that I mentioned earlier, as well as the Diagonal and the Hawk Crossing on South Main Street. And as I mentioned earlier, those are all lumped into one project now because we weren't able to get a contractor to do each one individually. So we felt like it was most efficient to put them all into one package. So those other two smaller projects are dependent on the Poinsett Street Corridor, which, as I mentioned, SCDOT is working through some final things right now to get us on track, or to get us where we're ready to start digging. So that's very close to happening. The next is assemble a database on properties and meet with property owners in order to better market development opportunities. And again, we've talked about this in other ways, that we, you know, we have a pretty good idea based on our staff here of what properties are best suited for what purposes. That goes along with our future land use map as well, that the Planning Commission approved back in 2018 and was, or recommended and then was approved by County Council. And we will actually have the opportunity here next month to look at the future land use map and just to make sure it aligns with our current goals. And there are some small changes that we'll be making to the map just to keep you up to date, but nothing earth-shattering to this point. But again, as I mentioned, land use will be discussed next month. The next one is create Travelers Rest ambassadors to market expansion opportunities to growing specialty businesses in the region. And again, I think this goes back to our Main Street, our marketing program. I think while we haven't specifically anointed ambassadors, I think we are all, as residents of TR, ambassadors to the city, and we all do, I think, a pretty good job of getting the word out that, hey, this is a good place to do business. So, and our marketing efforts are really hammer that home as well.
I will say, someone posted, I think yesterday, somebody might have seen it, a request to Trader Joe's. And it's a very simple click, fill out the form, why you think it would be beneficial. I did mine, got an email back this morning thanking me for my input. So, you know, in great numbers, those things do work.
They do, yeah, and you know, one of the benefits to more rooftops in the city and around the city is that's the first thing they look for, is number of rooftops. So that definitely, it'd be great to have a Trader Joe's here. And they're typically a smaller footprint, so they wouldn't have a lot of competition. It'd be really just Walmart and would be and Food Lion would be their two competitions at this point. So that's good to hear. Next one, expand mini grant program. We've to assist businesses with quality renovation. Again, that's the facade improvement program that was started last year. Next, continue to recruit specialty retail and high quality businesses to Travelers Rest. And again, I feel like I'm a broken record now, but we're always looking for those, the different opportunities that may be out there for businesses that want to locate or relocate to the city. Next is develop a targeted marketing campaign for visitors and growing numbers of residents of the area. And again, this goes back to Beth. She's really done a great job putting together our increased online and social media presence. Really has done a good job on that front. So I think that ticks that box pretty squarely. And then last, market directly to Furman University and North Greenville students. And I have here no progress, but I think we have made a little bit of progress. We're starting to really, what I'd like to do is find a way to poll a lot of the Furman University students and North Greenville students to see, and I have anecdotally kind of where they go when they're not at school, and not a lot of them come this way. They all go south to Greenville. So I think, Mark, if we can get some more data,
Many Furman
some
ones
more hard data.
downtown in the school year.
What's that?
I said, there's a good many Furman students down. Now,
They
North
do.
Greenville, that's a long haul.
They go to Tandem mostly.
Oh,
From what I've heard
Farmhouse.
anecdotally, yeah, they'll go to Tandem.
Farmhouse
and-
are packed
Yeah, yes.
in those kinds of places.
Right, so-
But anything in North Greenville, those a pull. That's a long drive.
It is, yeah.
Period.
So that's
You know,
the
Landrum's a little
argument we can make
closer.
to them, yeah. So,
Nothing's close to North Greenville, really.
right, so I think that was the last one, so I'm happy to answer any additional questions, but that concludes my presentation.
One thing as far as the economic side, and this may not be very popular, but I know one way maybe there's concerns as business grows as far as parking. Have we looked at parking meters at any point as a way to raise revenue for maintenance on the infrastructure downtown?
I haven't in my time, but I think that has been looked at in the past. I don't know if it's formally been looked at, but I think it has informally as a way to increase revenue. But no, I don't know of anything offhand.
I will say, I just made a mental note as I was driving here tonight, and on that stretch between Loftus Printing and TR Oriental, there were 6 available parking spaces on the street. So we can't just always park in the front door. And I think that's our educational moment
Yep.
is, park in the front door, and your employees should not be parking at the front door. But I don't know that we've ever done a formal look at parking meters.
Or you could do, I mean, or look at it a bulk type, instead of individual parking meters, you could do like Gateway Park parking area you're talking about over there and do like they do in
Pay
Greenville, where
boxes.
you have, one
Because I think from a,
kiosk
yeah,
for
from a
everybody.
budget perspective, we don't want to
With
do
an app or
something
what.
that's going to require hiring
Yeah, we don't
another
have
Right,
a hire meter
person.
maid.
So,
So if you had a kiosk with an app, you just pay off your
Yeah.
phone or whatever,
I'm sure there's high-tech ways to do it.
$2.
That's right.
for whatever, for the whole parking area, not individually, but for the whole thing, for the whole parking area.
Right.
I mean, it also keeps the traffic moving if you have a, busy Saturday that,
Right.
it opens up spots down the line if people don't want to pay the extra $2 for the hour or whatever.
right.
Yeah, that's true.
Any other questions? All right. Any other business from our members? I do have a question for our members. Has everyone done the survey?
Yes.
If you haven't, please do. Thank you. And Kenny, welcome. Are you here for a particular reason, or? Oh, good. Well, thanks for attending, because y'all still live out in Little Texas? Yeah. Well, thank you for attending. It's not too exciting, but, nothing major going on right now, so.
Something better on television, I bet.
All right. Yeah,
They're coming, yeah, we're just in a lull as far as
we are.
this board, but yeah, there are definitely a lot of stuff going on.
All right. Hearing no more discussion, I'd like to call for a vote to adjourn. All in favor, please indicate by raising the right hand and aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you very much, y'all. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Crossing.
I was gonna look that up, actually.
What's Hawk Crossing?
Is that with the bar? One of those?
It's